Hello, Ken here, and welcome to a video talking about everything you need to know about holocure's 0.6 update trailer. So let's go on with it as fast as we can because I have my fan off and I can't talk right now, so yeah. First are the characters, and these are all the characters on the screen right now. Next is their normal attacks, their skills, and their ultimates. And now for their normal attacks. Muna has a boomerang in the shape of a moon that deals damage to all enemies in its path. I cannot say the name properly. Risu throws a lot of nuts. Don't know the specific nuts thrown, but the amount of nuts thrown will increase in some levels. Next is Irani's multiple slash of her brush. It deals damage in front of her, what they expect from the normal slashing move that a lot of the characters have in this game. But she does have the most amount of slashes done in one attack out of every character in this game, so that's something going for her. Ollie's attack is a normal sword slash, but instead of, the normal sword slash that we normally get, it is very long but has a very thin attack radius. Next is Zeta's gun. It shoots bullets. Yeah, it's a gun. But jokes aside, the bullets are really fast. Like, really, really fast. Faster than any projectile that is a normal attack in this game, so yeah. Next is Koba with her umbrella. It's the most basic and does only one slash in a 180-degree radius. Next is Anya's flying swords. She throws it in front of her and there's a lot of swords being thrown, and by the looks of things, it seems like the swords stay for a short time. Next is Kaela's hammer that hits in a 90-degree angle. And the hammer can mine ores that spawns from her skill or ultimate. We will be talking about the ores later. And Reina has her feathers that she can throw in front of her, and is thrown just like Mumei's feathers, but Reina can throw feathers in front of her and from her back. And yeah. Next are the skills of the characters. Keep in mind, I'm only getting these from the less than a minute gameplay that we got to see, because we don't see texts about the skills and what they are called or what they do, except for a single skill that Ollie has. And also, I will not be talking about the icons at the bottom left if we don't see anything that has changed on the minimal gameplay that we are shown. I will only be mentioning the icons if we are shown what the icons can do, but if we just see an icon and there's no change to the gameplay, then it's gonna be ignored. Muna can fire off a dark circular blast that deals not a lot of damage, but is good against swarms of enemies, especially on hollow runs. Muna has a moon shield, and that's it. I don't know anything else about it, but it looks like a shield, and it also has an icon on the bottom left, and it stays for a bit. Next is we see a bunny being spawned by Muna for a split second that deals damage to an enemy, and it looks like it deals damage in a big area, as you can see here. Next is Risu. Risu can either make clones of herself or ghost-like Risus that mimic the actions of the original Risu, but they will not copy your weapons except for your normal attacks and your movements. Maximum of either 2 or 3 Risu clones. Irani has a pulsing attack that looks like it pulses 3 times, but in reality only hits them once. It also debuffs the enemy, but we don't know what that debuff does. Next is Ollie. Ollie summons a big blast of fire that stays on the field for a bit, dealing mass amounts of damage, since it has a stupidly high DPS and will damage them really quickly, as you can see here. And we can see the only skill that we have information of from the trailer, and it is Sip of All Time, which reads, targets can drop Hololive merch. When picking up Hololive merch, Ollie takes 5 damage, but he'll back the damage after 2 seconds and gain 50%. And that's all we see here. But I'm guessing that 50% is damage. And we see a bar on the bottom left that shows 4 elements, that being fire, water, rock, and electric. So maybe she has a elemental type skill, since when we see the fireball being thrown, the bar decreases. So that will bring a lot more to her kit, and maybe you have to use your bar wisely on the moments when you need that fireball for high DPS moments, or the other more expensive options. Reina has a lot of icons, but we don't get shown what they do, so we will be ignoring Reina. Sorry, Reina. But the only thing that we got to see is a singular wind blast, but that's it. Next is Koba. Koba has one big pulse attack that deals a good amount of damage. And we see on the bottom left is a bar that shows a happy and angry Koba bar. I'm guessing there are advantages and disadvantages on both happy Koba and angry Koba. Like maybe when Koba is happy, her attack decreases but buffs her defense. And when she is angry, she deals more damage but is more fragile. But that's just speculation. Next is we see clouds going on top of the enemy's heads. Guessing it will rain on their heads, either slowing them down or damaging them. All we know of Anya is when there is Z's on top of her head, everyone on the screen gets heavily slowed. And that's it. Next is Kaela. Kaela spawns ores on the map, and when you break them with your normal attack / your hammer, they get destroyed and gets put into your inventory on the bottom left of your screen. And that inventory is exclusive to only Kaela. We don't know what the ores do at the moment, but we do see an attack buff on the bottom left below her inventory that has all 3 of the mineable ores on the image. And lastly on the characters are the ultimates that we see at the end of the gameplay portion of the trailer. First is Muna. Muna transforms into this thing and lasts for 11 seconds. And does a big circular moon-shaped blast on the ground, dealing a lot of damage and pushing the enemies that are caught in the blast zone a lot. And the transformation is kinda similar to Gura's ult, turning her into Red Gura. Next is Koba. Koba fills the entire screen with water for 10 seconds and slowing everyone and slowly damaging them for the entire duration of the ult. Next is Anya. Anya uses her sword and becomes a Beyblade, dealing a lot of damage to all enemies around her. Really, really good on holo runs. Next is Zeta. Zeta becomes invisible for 10 whole seconds, as you can see on the bottom left. But instead of just becoming invisible and not being able to get hit for 3 seconds, but the enemies still follow you, instead, they stop on their tracks and they just don't move for the entire 10 seconds. Next is Kaela. She summons a big chunk of ore, and every time you hit it, not only do you get some ores, it also does a full screen pulse every time you hit it, dealing a good amount of damage. Next is Risu. Risu drops a lot of big nuts on the enemies, dealing a lot of damage. That's all I know. So yeah. I don't know if the nuts explode or something, but hey, that's all we got to see. Next is Reina. Reina summons a big fist that locks into an enemy, dealing 1k damage to all enemies, and in its really big splash radius. Really, really good on holo runs. As you can see here, that blast zone is big as hell. Next is Ollie. Ollie fires a thin beam, dealing minimal damage at a high DPS, not as high as the fireball though, and lasts for a bit, and you can aim it with your cursor. Next is Irani's ult. Irani's ult stops all enemies from moving, and a big bar on the bottom will appear, showing how much paint you have. And you can draw whatever you want, and any enemies touched by the paint will take damage. Really good at taking big clumps of enemies because you have control on where the brush will go, and you can just hover your mouse on the enemies and just go up and down until you deal as much damage as you can with the brush. Next is the 4 items that we got to see. First is the piece of candy. We don't really know what it does, but it's an item. Next is the sausage. The sausage does a small slash attack just like Kobo's umbrella. Next is the Naruto headband. Don't know what it does, but you know, it is an item just like the piece of candy. Next is Hakui Koyori's coat. Same as the candy and the headband. There's no text. And that is it on the main game, but since we are already got this far, let's talk about Hollow House. Hollow House is a Animal Crossing type world that you can explore, plant seeds, get the things that you got from those seeds that you planted, and cook with those things that you got from those seeds. Got that? Good. Next is that you can fish. And when you fish, there's a rhythm type in the game, so you can catch your fish. You can buy fishing rods from Bloop's store and cook some food that gives you special effects on your future runs. And I will be talking about those effects later. But first, let's talk about the house itself. And just like Animal Crossing, you can customize the inside of the house. And you can buy furniture, walls, carpets for the house. I don't know if you can change the look of the house from the outside though, but there's a lot of things you can customize and place inside of your house. And next is that you can hire workers to do stuff for you, and you can level them up with the food and to boost up their XP and stamina. And they have names above them. So yeah. Next is the NPCs that you can talk to in the overworld. You can talk to the NPCs and all of the characters in the game. Lastly are the food effects that we are shown in the game. And also you can just look at the ingredients at the bottom of the screen. You have eyes. Use them. And first is Calamari set, which increases your max HP by 40 and has 5 uses. Next is Manta Ray Soup, which gives you an extra life and has 3 uses. Third is Fruit Sandwich, which increases the drop rates of holocoins and has 5 uses. Fourth is Burger Meal, which makes burgers drop twice as often and has 5 uses. And lastly is Strange Seafood Soup, which greatly increases the chance of holo appearing and has 3 uses. Really good with Fruit Sandwich if you're going for a coin grinding build. And that is everything you need to know about Holocure's 0.6 update. And if you liked the video, you don't have to like or subscribe unless you want to. And see you guys on the next video, and bye.